Hello, students. Welcome to the first lesson of the year. So I know that at the beginning of the year, you get a lot of like syllabus stuff and just kind of general course information and welcome and things like that. And that's all great, and those are important, and we'll get to them. But I usually like to start off the year by doing something a little bit different, just to get a little change of pace on your first couple days of the school year. So really what we're going to be doing today is just listening to a couple songs, if that's okay with you. The learning targets for today are: I can articulate my thoughts in a compelling and sophisticated way, and then I can analyze abstract questions from multiple points of view. So back in 2011, early 2010s, there's this band called Of Monsters and Men, still a band, but they came out with this song called Little Talks. I don't remember when in the year it came out, but I do remember hearing it all the time during the summer. It was the kind of song that's played all the time during summer radio. It sounds very like summery, it sounds upbeat and happy, but it's a song called Little Talks. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is listen to that song. And as you're listening to the song, I want you to think through questions like, what does this song bring to mind? How does it make you feel? What might you relate it to? And then I'm going to ask you to describe it in a few words. And you won't be posting these responses at all. And if you just want to think of them in your head, that's fine too, but it might be helpful to write them down. So if you can see on the top there, there's that little circle with the audio icon. If you click on that, it'll actually play the song. So what I'm going to ask you to do in just a second is pause this video, head over to Classroom, click on, this PowerPoint is posted, so you can actually click on that audio icon and listen to the song, and then once you're done, hop back into this video. So just pause it for now, head over and take care of that, and then come on here once you're done. Okay, so welcome back. By this point, you should have listened to the first song, where it says Song 1 in that audio icon. Now, I don't mean to be too presumptuous about how you might have responded to those questions, but most of the time, students tend to respond with things like, it sounds happy, it sounds fun, it sounds upbeat, it does remind me of summer, although maybe this summer looked a little bit different for a lot of you, just given what's going on. But those are the general or typical responses you tend to get. It makes me feel happy, things like that. It sounds happy. And so those are pretty typical responses. And maybe they lined up with what you said. And if they didn't, that's fine too. But those tend to be pretty typical responses. We're going to listen to another song now. And the deal with this second song is that it's actually the same song, although there's a different or alternate version of the song that the band does sometimes. So just like last time, in just a second, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, head back to the PowerPoint, and click on that song icon for song 2. It's the exact same song, same words. It's the same song, except it's a different version of it. And as you listen to this new version, this alternate version, I want you to be thinking of the same questions. And I would like you to write these down. You won't be submitting them, but I think it'll help you just remember them a little bit better. So the same questions. What does this song bring to mind? How does it make you feel? How is it different? What might you relate it to? How is it maybe different than the first one? And then I'd like you to describe it in a few words. So again, go ahead and pause the video, head over to the PowerPoint and listen to song 2, and then head back here once you're done. All right, welcome back. So I'm sure that was quite a different experience for you than the first song was. And the next couple slides have the actual lyrics to the song there, so you can look through them if you want to, and maybe you already did. And again, I don't mean to be presumptuous about how you responded to these questions with the second song, but with students, we tend to get very different responses than the first time around. We have the first song, we have the second song, you tend to get very different responses. Students tend to say things like, the song sounded kind of dark, it sounded melancholy or kind of depressing, it was sad, it reminded me of winter maybe a Minnesota winter. It did not remind me of summer at all, it did not sound upbeat and happy, it kind of made me tired. You hear a lot of those types of things, and if you said something like kind of in that realm, great, and if you didn't, that's fine too, but that tends to be what you hear from students about this second song. The question, of course, though, is why did we get such a radically different experience? Now, that might be obvious to you, but let's break it down a little bit, because it was the same lyrics, it's the same song, it's even the same melody for the most part, but why did we have such a radically different experience the second time around than maybe we did the first time? And part of what I'm going to propose to you is that it's rooted in the idea that perspective matters. Perspective makes a difference. It makes a difference in how we experience and understand things. But why does perspective matter so much? How can it so radically alter how we experience different things in our lives. So let's go through some of those questions or ideas. I'm going to ask a few more questions of you. And these are questions, again, that you're not going to be submitting or responding to necessarily, but I do want you to at least think about, and it might be helpful to write them down too. Questions like, how might looking at something from a different perspective change it? What might be the benefit of looking at something or someone maybe from a different perspective? Why might that be like a good or helpful or healthy or sometimes even necessary thing? And then the last question, how might this be challenging at times? If we want to look at something or someone from a different perspective, could that be challenging or hard or a struggle at some times? And if the answer is yeah, sometimes it can be, then the second question should be, well, okay, is it worth it? If it's a struggle, if it's painful, if it's challenging, is it worth it to do that? So I'd like you to take a couple minutes and think through these questions and maybe jot some ideas down. Go ahead. Now, however you responded to those questions is just fine. That's your perspective. But I'm going to make the pitch. I'm going to propose that English class is this unique place where we get to explore and practice these ideas and questions together. English class, in other words, allows us to see differently. English class allows us to look at things from a different perspective because of the content we go over, the discussions we have, and the work we do. But I don't want you to take my word for it. If you don't buy into that idea right now, if you don't think that English class can do that, that's fine. We've got a lot of school year and work ahead of us, and hopefully we all get there. I'm going to kind of propose that, but if you're not buying it right now, that's fine. That's okay. But I am proposing that English class allows us to see things from a different perspective. It allows us to see things differently. So a lot of the work that we do together this year is going to be rooted in this idea that perspective matters and it makes a difference and that it's worth doing. And that English class affords us the opportunity to really explore these ideas together in a unique way. So that's it for today. Just a short lesson that kind of gets us ready for some of the work we're going to do throughout the course of the year, but just in a little bit of a different way. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson and that you were able to think through some things, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, class.